Serral. So you guys will get Serral. Creator in the top left from Team NV, the red Protoss player, is going to be taking on Serral in the bottom right, our blue Zerg. You know, guys, I really wanted to get away with the I really wanted to get out of here without having more Serral games, because I was like, well, if we don't cast Serral, maybe no one will ask why Serral's in the Korean qualifier anymore. But maybe that's something we're just doomed for, or doomed to have happen anyway. So yeah, very plausible as we do get into this. Just going to be seeing our spawning pool going down, hatch, gas, and pool coming up. And we get this all underway for game 1 of this best of 3. Just been totaling up, by the way, the numbers from last night. I know a couple of people were asking what the final prize pool is. I've just been talking to Roddy. So the final prize pool for what we raised last night was $2,800. 2.8k USD. And that'll be split between, I think we're going to split it between the top 16. Mostly focused on the top 8, but given like round of 16, like $25 each. It means that Clem, winning last night, walks away with like $800. So Clem basically won everything that would have been given out in a usual Open Cup, just all at once for first place. Freaking crazy what we did last night. Honestly, still can't get over it. And like I say, that's a story to tell for a long time to come. That might be the single biggest prize pool for just an Open Cup ever. For like just like a one evening event, you know what I mean? That just happened out of nowhere. Actually crazy. Well, this is Serral Creator. Anyways, just to get into this series, and it's not a Stargate opener, so here's me getting ready to waste some time. It's a it'll be a Stargate, guys, nothing exciting. But in fact, it's going to be a Twilight Council opening from Creator here. So Creator will open with the Twilight. As an Adept shades out. I'm going to go chase that Zergling down a little bit. And Zergling is going to get chased down and will fall. So Zergling goes down already. The Overlord pulling back toward the natural just slightly. And just going to be seeing our Stalker pinging on the Ovi. Yeah, actually, one of the real reasons he dropped down to this match was because a lot of the winner bracket stuff is already in-game, waiting for opponents, etc. So I figured at least this one's fresh and ready to go. We can jump back to the winner bracket after this series and continue to follow through to the winner bracket qualifying match and stuff. That should all play out today. It's going to be 3-gate glaives, not going to be the 4-gate, no Robo facility. So you put on some pressure with this, you send some adepts across the map. You get that going. Is just see our Rotoron is coming through. So Rotoron coming up, a few drones coming in. Overlord is going to be spawning up in just a few moments' time. And yeah, Warp Gate will finish up on that Cybernetics core. So just going to get a couple of gates morphing pretty much immediately. Yeah, Ovi just kind of continue to waddle into the main base as well. So just having a little float in to see what is happening. Stargate's continuing through. I think that double Stargate coming up in the main base. So double Stargate follow-up off of this. It's a fun one, and you know what? Serral's going to see it very quickly. Now, one thing I think that'll be interesting about this matchup is obviously being ZvP. Actually, very different to ZvT. ZvT is so mechanics-focused. It's so much of the fast-paced, small micro kind of little bits and pieces that you see being very influential in ZvT that is really affected by ping. I don't think ZvP is as affected by ping. Yeah, obviously there's a lot of still micro and stuff to be done and stuff, but I don't think it's always as meticulous. I don't think it's always as much of a situation. I feel like ZvP a lot of the time is more getting the right set of units up to begin with. So it's a lot more strategy and a lot more kind of knowing and just knowledge and scouting than necessarily all of the, obviously, mechanics are still there, but they definitely take a bit of a backseat just compared to TVZ, because that's so hyper-focused on the mechanics. So, with that in mind, I do wonder if this just looks different, if Serral looks more confident in this matchup, isn't thrown to play a style that he maybe isn't as confident with, because I don't sure know how much he often plays, or how often he goes, you know, with the Roach Ravager or anything. As you see our Adepts moving back over to the left-hand side. Now, Fling Ravager is still setting up. Just gonna get us around on this third base, so he's gonna be able to take this down. So the Nexus gets cancelled right away. At the end of the day, these Adepts never really did that much, right? I mean, they threatened Serral and they forced him to build units, but units that he's now put to use in his own, in his own favor anyway, using them aggressively. And as the Phoenix come up and Serral knows exactly what's up, he sets up the spores. He's had more Queens building, so I'd say he's fairly well prepared to play against this right now. As I do have the couple of Phoenix continue to fly out over to the right-hand side. I'm going to turn back in towards this natural expansion where a little more damage will be done. And just grabbing a couple more drones, as we do see the Baneling Nest is going to be continuing through from Serral as well. I mean, not ready yet as these Adepts threaten to shade in. No, don't think that would have made any sense to commit to. All of the units were there ready to jump on them. Serral did get up to a good worker count behind all of this as the Adepts will move forward once more. Going to try and get their way into the mineral line. Will not quite find that. The Baneling Nest will be finishing soon as a few drones go down. Once again, the Phoenix coming in and putting some damage out. We got the Lings looking like they were about to counter. Now they're going to turn back around themselves. They actually have an open third base they probably could have done a lot to. So I actually would have liked to see them commit across rather than pulling back, because they didn't really pull back for much. If he was afraid of the Adepts, then sure. Now as he turns them back around, the Adepts are all back home. So, well, yeah. So you're not going to get as much done. Hold positions to get a couple probes that are long distance mining perhaps, but only gets the single one. A robotics facility building up as a second robo. So that's going to be double robo. I guess you want to just go a lot of immortal production here. Start building up that ground army. And obviously it sets you up well if you add on the robo bay eventually as well to kind of, make some next steps in all of this. So something to look out for. As you see, Queens just going to push the Phoenix away up the right hand side. And just going to be seeing the Ling Roach Ravager. Morphing in the center as well. It's just all of that coming through. As, yeah. Roach, Ravager, Bane. Out in the middle. Queen's going to pick off the Hallucination. And we are going to go over to the left as the Lings and everything else sets up. Big push. Going to aim for the top left corner of the map. Huge chunk of additional Banelings morphing in right now. And we are getting ready for this attack into that third base. So getting ourselves set up for this. The Queen's going to throw out some damage. Phoenix going to take some hits. And we are going to move on through as we just go into this. A couple of barrels coming in. The Phoenix dodging off to the side. A couple more barrels coming down. Our Ravager's getting lifted up. Just going to see our Banes rolling for these probes. Not quite making it just yet, as we do see the pylons continuing to finish up as well. I mean, with a massive Queen walk here, the Phoenix are really nullified in their usefulness. You can see that obviously Serral just wants to get up this ramp and maybe put an end to this. He does pull back, plays the safer play of obviously defending or killing off the third base, making sure that's killed off. He does deal with the Adepts back at home. And this massive Queen walk works out wonders. Honestly, and maybe this is a bit of a biased opinion, but I don't really like the glaives into the Phoenix. I just never really feel that it gives you that much. And obviously, maybe this is biased because the Adepts never really did anything this game, and especially the Phoenix didn't feel like they did much. But I just feel like I see this composition kind of flop a lot of the time. But maybe I'm just being ignorant of all the times that it's worked as well, because, well, it's not the most common way to play. It's not unheard of either. It has, when I saw this happen, I was like, okay, that makes sense, right? It's not like I'm like, what the hell's Creator doing? So, yeah. As we do see, the Bile's actually connecting as well, helping Serral to push through the bottom side of this army. The Immortals having to back it up a bit. 20 more Lings coming through. A melee upgrade on the way. Just going to be seeing once more the army of Serral will play it safe and just back it up rather than continuing to press the issue. Of course, he has only a 4-worker lead, but it's a 4-worker lead in a game where Creator can't mine with 20 of his workers because he's missing the third base. So the saturation absolutely favors Serral, so the income will be in his favor, massively so. And obviously that means he can kind of just keep on building these units and going again and again, especially when he's actually trading evenly with his opponent, 7.4k each. Bane Ravager Queen comes through, going to start fighting. I mean, the Phoenix lift what they can, but it will not be enough, and Serral is going to take aim number 1 off of Creator. Just, like I say, such a strat. I don't think I got exact confirmation of exactly how many rounds in the lower bracket, but it should mean the winner bracket plays out to completion. And then I guess we'll wait and see on the lower bracket a little bit. Bottom left-hand side, our red Protoss player from Team NV. Down a map will be Creator, taking on the blue Zerg in the top right-hand corner. It is, of course, Serral. Oh, spawning pool first, so maybe a little afraid of a potential cannon rush as well. Just going to be very safe here right away. That does mean if you're going to go spawning pool first, you do want to make sure you take your natural hatchery, which means you can't let yourself be blocked. You're already putting yourself a little bit slower on the economy because you're going spawning pool first instead of hatch first, so then you want to make sure that, yeah, this hatchery goes down on the natural location. It could do that here easily because Creator was trying to double check where the hatchery might have been, then got a little bit worried that he hadn't seen one, so then he just comes to the main to check, and then he sees the hatchery going down, realizes, okay, just a regular pool first, nothing to be super concerned about, and that's obviously why Serral gets his natural down nice and quickly there. We're having a little scout around. He's just going to stay here as well. You want to see if any units come out onto the map, and just know when those first two lings are moving out, just double checking, right? Just any information, right, helps you to piece together the larger puzzle in general. As the probe, he slips out of here. It's going to be heading over to the far left. Do you use that probe for anything in particular? I think just going to rescout. Once to obviously know the third base time would tell you a lot about maybe what Serral does as a follow-up here, just in case you think he might end up being a little bit cheeky and a little bit aggressive off two bases. I mean, that's not super common, but something you know, it's not worth. It's something worth remembering as well, because it's the sort of thing that will catch you off guard once every couple of weeks, and you're like, God damn, why didn't I think of that? So yeah, probe just try and pick up information any way possible, right? And doing a pretty good job of it, just looking at the naturals, seeing if units are moving out. There is a Stargate already down from Creator, so he will play a pretty safe setup. Obviously, Stargate, one of the safest setups you can go for, but obviously leads you into so many options as well. We've seen all of it as of late, right? We've seen double Stargate Void Ray being successful. We've seen the Oracle styles going well. To me, Creator is much more of a double Stargate Void Ray player than anything else. I'd be kind of shocked if he built like more than one Oracle in this game. If he played like 3 Oracle, to me that's just not how Creator usually plays, basically, right? So that's why I would be a little surprised as these drones, they missed their full surround, and that's actually a 4th drone going down as the Adepts are successful in Serral's naturals. So a good little Adept attack already, getting some good damage done. Again, just seeing the little things that may be affected a bit by ping, perhaps, although Serral just didn't have many units prepared to deal with that in the first place, so plus 3 lings as well. Yeah, it's one of those scenarios where I actually think maybe Serral was more to blame than anything, because he just wasn't quite exactly ready as he needed to be to work with that. Well, 2 Adepts still moving around. Oracle is trying to find some damage, but will not find much at all just yet. Ends up being turned around back down the right side of the map. The drone will drop in. Going to be seeing our 3rd hatchery is up and running. Still just seeing our Oracle continuing up at the moment as our Adepts will shade on through. I got 1 drone already. That's been nice and annoying, just running around the corners as well, making sure they don't die for as long as possible. Shades up into the main for more work kills. And that is going to go very well for Creator here. You're now talking about 4 additional workers on top of 4 earlier. 1 more? Yep, 5, and the Adept's actually out of here for the moment. So 9 worker kills in the game at the 5-minute marker. Serral's just slowed way off of the economy he would love to have. You know, he's meant to have caught up in workers by now, and he's still down. As he's losing even more, the double Oracle in the main base strikes and strikes well, and they pick up a combined 3 kills to make it even worse for Serral. His economy really in trouble already. And that's going to be tough to break back out of, because a lot of the follow-ups from here will be very much so focused around the idea of kind of making sure that you take advantage of those drones killed and you hit timings that make, that are then difficult to defend. I will put my hands in the air and say I was incorrect about Creator's build choice. He did build one Void, but he went triple Oracle still. One Void triple Oracle is kind of weird, simply for the fact that obviously that's 4 Stargate units, and that does delay a lot of your other tech by a lot. If you go triple Oracle, I'd typically say you don't need the Void Ray, though it can be nice because it will get rid of a lot of the, will get rid of overloads and stuff that obviously Oracles cannot get rid of. But yeah, I was not expecting Creator to play a style like this. This was just not really, something that was on my mind in the slightest. Like I say, to me, he isn't that kind of player, so yeah, a little bit surprised by the build order choice, but obviously now we got other things on our mind as the Queens are walking. I mean, Serral shouldn't really win this game. This is a game where a couple stasis wards coming up, the stack defense is already getting set to go. The only thing here is that the triple Oracle is not amazing against the Queens, and that's like one thing, but you've done so much. You lose the Void Ray too, but you've done so much damage early that Serral's attack surely is just weakened enough that you can hold this with stack defense already up, etc. I don't think there should be an opening, but let's see if Serral can prove me wrong. As he sets up down here, big stasis ward catches the Ravages to begin with as well. And these few Adepts are going to try and shade through as the Lings just going to hold back for a moment or so. Looks like we might wait for the stasis ward to fade, but if you're waiting for that stasis ward to fade away, that's a long time. I have no idea why we're building another Oracle, though. Oracles just feel like the sort of thing that these Queens can deal with so easily right now, so to me that just doesn't really make sense. I feel like the Oracle is like the one thing you really don't need right now, is a few barrels at the front. Going for that pylon doesn't hit it, though. Well, hits it, but doesn't kill it. Obviously, if you do get rid of the Queens at least, then the Oracles can make a difference. Right now, the Oracles activate on the Ravages. They will get rid of Ravages quickly as well. And that is where the Oracles can shine in this defense, but they need to be babysat. They can't be let near the Queens, because if that happens, they do fall into a lot of trouble very quickly, as Ling is trying to do what they can as well, but it looks like Serral overall is being slowed down too much. This attack is taking way too long to process into anything meaningful. I think that means we really do just have ourselves and game number 3 coming up, perhaps, between these two, as Serral starts to back it up. He's teching as well. Roach Speed, Evo Chamber, Bane Nest. He knows he's obviously not going to continue through with this, and that he needs to start thinking about a change for the future. Triple Oracle will counterattack too, and obviously with Triple Oracle you can dive a bit and go into a spawn, give up an Oracle, and there's just a bunch of drones going down. No Queen here or anything, so you get 10, 11 more workers. Yeah, you're going to give up all your Oracles, maybe save one so you still have some Revelations. Queen will try and catch it. It will go down. So nice to get rid of all the Oracles, and maybe that's not quite how you want to trade as Creator, but 12 more drones when Serral's already struggling is an understandable commitment to trade out for. I'm still seeing the army just setting up at the front, of course, and waiting to see what happens next. As Creator, I mean, in my eyes, Creator is obviously building up into this powerful ground army. There should just be a point at which Creator says, maybe with +2, where he's just like, cool, this is where we fight. And he just goes to fight before Serral can get set up too far into the late game or anything, etc., etc. That would be my best guess right now. Couple Lings fall back up to the top side. A couple of cannons on the way. First, I'm just going to try and be fancy with the Immortals, as, like I say, as +2 is going to be finishing. We are readying ourselves for this attack of Creator, it would seem. Not surprising. Not really rocket science. Get a powerful upgrade. Attack when it's done. That's basically the plan. His army should be great on the ground. Serral will need a really good engagement to fight against this with the He needs to get some like really good Bane hits. He's got some Lings here. They need to disengage. This is not a fight or not a game where you can just trade out Lings like that. He has a lot of units, to be fair. Doesn't have a +1 missiles yet, though, so he's up against a high attack, higher upgraded army. Again, he needs very good control in this fight. He needs Biles to connect and all sorts of stuff like that to really help him here. Still 2 oracles, by the way. 5 oracles made in total this game, as 2 of them will come through and just kind of hit this army. Corrosive Biles are dodged. Well, no, he flew back into some there. So that other oracle goes down. Serral loses his 4th base, though, so knocked back down to 3 bases, and I don't think I need to explain that that one obviously isn't very good for Zerg. Yeah, that part of this is not pretty at all, as you do see the Ravagers. It's clearing up any Zealots to try and run through at least, so trying to maintain a bit of control. But yeah, it's really tough. I mean, obviously Creator is just tacking up behind this as well. Storm's on the way. He also doesn't see the need to kind of rush into anything right now. He's very happy to just play this slow, let this play out, all that kind of stuff. As those couple of Archons do shoot down a couple Lings nice and quickly as well. They fell pretty swiftly. Comes back around the left. Roach Ravager Bane. Gonna move more towards the center of the map, and as the Spire comes on up, you're also gonna be seeing our +2 missiles coming in, so I mean, at least Serral is still trying to attack up himself. He's not completely giving up and just kind of going for one big fight. In Serral's eyes, I suppose, he says, well, if I can just keep on surviving and take more fights over time, maybe I can create a fight that's good for me, and maybe that's why I really kind of believe in myself or something. That would be my best guess, at least, as to what happens here. We are just going to be seeing him going for a big attack now. Like I say, he's on his way to Aspire. He's got +2 missiles on the way. He doesn't necessarily need to commit to a big fight just yet. That's the one thing I do wonder about a little bit, as you know, as he does set down there. Like, he postured, but he didn't actually commit. He didn't pull the trigger, and I guess that's the right idea. Things get to the far right, and a couple of these Zealots already being picked off. Bane's moving down the ramp as well, as the Adept will fall. Feelings trying to figure out what they want to do. Answer is get shot at and not really do much. Serral's got a lot of money. He needs to trade out some units if he wants to build into the Spire, if he wants to build into the Mutas. So he'll need to find a trade out, but if he can find that, he genuinely does have a lot he can make happen here, perhaps, as Roach Ravager coming up this ramp. Bane's crashing in. I mean, they ate the Storms, but they didn't die to the Storms. That means they do at least get their damage out onto the Archons, and while that's not the most efficient, it does soften the Archons up, as Serral will pounce on through this army. Another couple of Archons going down, more Biles on the bottom side. The Archons and the Immortals end up dodging away from that. And we will settle down, as Serral doesn't do bad in the first fight. Nice Biles, kills off another Archon there. So many Immortals, though, as the Storms come down on the Roach Ravager. The Fueling streaming through. Oh, Bane's getting stormed as well. They will not last very long, and there is going to be too much from Creator. Good attempt from Serral, even with a very good effort in this fight. It just wasn't going to be enough, guys. In the top right-hand side is our Red Protoss player winning out the last game to tie us up 1-1 in this series. It is going to be Creator. In the bottom left-hand corner of the map, our blue Zerg player is Serral. It's actually been a fun series. I think last game, the early game really decided a lot of it, though. I think that was very apparent. The game really was kind of just decisive amongst all the rest of it. So good effort from Creator. Played it out properly. I feel like Serral really did everything he could too. Like, he didn't dive into silly fights. He really tried to pick his fights as well as possible. At the end of the day, it just was not enough. And hell, sometimes that just happens. That's just life sometimes, you know? Right. Get set up. We do have our gateway about to finish up on the natural wall off, so just getting that completed. And just going to be seeing the Overlord of Serral. Just going to come on through, heading to the upper right, having a bit of a scout. Setting up as we speak. Super normal opening on Oxide. Do you have a guess as to what's going to happen on Oxide? I feel like Chris still has the Void Rays in his back pocket. This is a map you can queen walk on, though. It's a short map, so it is something to think about there as well. A possibility. Especially, well, Serral's already taken the bottom side third base. That's a little bit less likely to lead to a queen walk, but it's still not. It's still possible. Queen walks are always possible. Zergs are always making queens, and queens can always walk unless I guess they're caught in a stasis or something, or lifted by a phoenix. So queen walks can always happen. Whether the stars will align for one to be committed to this time, I guess, is the more interesting question. That will remain to be seen for a little bit. Twilight Council is on the way from Creator, so getting the Twilight Council up and running. So Twilight first, so yeah, I mean, I guess credit back to, obviously he did Twilight first in the first game. Didn't really go very well because Serral just had a very good counter to it. He didn't let the Adepts ever do any damage. He was very aware of what was going on there. I feel like he did a very good job of, you know, keeping track of those kind of things, as one Ling will go down. Time we will see a Robos, a potential to actually see 4 gate glaze, or do we maybe see something crazy like a Dark Shrine? I don't think so, but... Well, he's still mining with 3 in each gas. Maybe we do see a Dark Shrine and like 4 gate DT? Not something you see every day nowadays. Just saying, because we still have a lot of gas mining. I think we might. Oh, very funky. Yeah, this is, it has been seen a couple more times. I would say I've probably seen this more in the last 2 months, or maybe the last month and a half, than I have seen it in the 6 months prior to that, you know? Where this build has maybe made a bit of a resurgence. At one point, this was the gold standard of PvZ, the double Archon drop. This is going to be a little bit of a faster variation where you only get 3 gateways, so it will not be 4 DTs right away. And this is the more modern style of doing this because it hits just a little sooner with 1 less DT, but obviously you can warp 1 more DT in on the second round of warp-ins, and then you still get your 2 Archons after the initial DT harassment, so watch out for that. And there's obviously... one of the strengths of this build is that people just don't do it a lot anymore, so a lot of the time the Zergs are like, hey, wait a sec, how does this work? 2 Adepts will warp in, and there's they warp in. Just going to be seeing the few Adepts moving over that left-hand side. So shading across the map. Overlord's coming through, Ling's all building up. A lot of this army setting up down the bottom as we do see a few Adepts coming through, a Dark Templar already warping in. When we start to press forwards a little bit here, it's going to see our Ling's wanting to go and dive onto some Adepts perhaps. That DT coming up, Queen's taking a bit of damage. That's going to be seen out last, still building in the main then, as we do have the Overlords rallying out to the front as well. A couple of Queens coming through. There is the DT being annoying, but at the end of the day, it didn't really do much drone damage. And as long as that's the case, I don't think you're really too upset about any of this. Oh, now warping the extra DTs as Creator obviously didn't have as much power there initially as expected. He has got 4 DTs, he most wants an Archon. The other 2 are back at home, so it's a little bit of a weird situation. Wait for it to all be sorted out. So it just moves up until there. Obviously can't do anything aggressive with DTs on the map until the lair is done. You get Overseers. So for Serral, it was very much so a waiting game and a setting up game. As, yeah, very weird to see just a single Archon down here harassing these Queens. Just doesn't quite have the same impact as the double Archon, you know? doesn't quite find the same sort of value in the slightest. His circlings end up backing away as well, so... I'm going to back off a little bit too. Just moving around and still looking to see if there's opportunities. Units kind of just patrolling on the map, or maybe a couple of Adepts you can catch already. Generally, you know, if you've got the activity and the speed to do this, then why the hell wouldn't you do it, right? I mean, likelihood that you find something more often than not, so... yeah. Now that Overseer flies up toward the main base, the Creep Teamer goes down as the Archon gets a little snipe. And yeah, Overseer is going to be our scout into the main, just looking for the follow-up. One of the deadly timings actually off this DT opener is usually the 7:30 Immortal Archon attack, where you have like 2 Immortals, 3 Archons, and you can just go for like a really powerful push. Obviously, you have the Prism up from earlier in the game as well. It's just a lot of tech to deal with at a very early point of the game. It's something that can be pretty intriguing to see play out, you know? Because it's always like, whoa, how the hell can you have so many units so soon? And it's like, how is a segment to hold that well? That's why they need to make sure they have a good early game and a good defense against the initial DTs and Archon drops, because if they don't, that sort of attack can absolutely just straight up kill you. Link is about to complete the +1 attack, is still coming up. Oh, we're gonna see Swarm Host. That's a little bit different. When was the last time I saw Swarm Host in ZvP? It ain't a common one. It's not something you see every day lately. It's definitely a little bit different for sure. Well, let's see how it goes. I mean, a lot of the time you don't go Swarm Host nowadays because of the Stargates, right? Stargates are very good ways to shut down the Swarm Host, because Swarm Host can't fight back against the Sky units. So you can, like, you know, and then the Niduses get denied and stuff, so you can't even pop in and pop out all the time. It's just way too risky to play. So because there's no Stargate, Serral is going to take the opportunity to play Swarm Host, something you might not always see in the matchup. And we'll see if Creator can be prepared to deal with this. Now, a lot of this is kind of sitting on batteries, healing up units that get hit, letting Archons tank, using that Prism Micro to save units when they get low. You can nullify the crazy efficiency of Swarm Hosts by using your kind of, you know, your own efficient healing and micro and stuff as well. Immortals are in the main. I mean, the Observer saw this, so you setting up some units to deal with this already. I mean, these Locusts just need to drop down on a Robo facility or something, though. Stalkers are going to be here. 1 or 2 go down. Yeah. Serral kind of fighting the army surprises me a little bit. I thought he might actually go for the, just like kill the Robo off, right? But no, wanted to try and fight the army bit, and as all of those units went up there, he tried to push the left side. But of course, he doesn't have that much overwhelming power, even with so much split into the main, because a lot of his supply is in these Swarm Hosts, which are obviously on a little bit of cooldown. So I was going to realize in a moment that there is an Observer over here, because these Stalkers have come Swarm Host hunting. They will get one, and forces these Swarm Hosts to fire before the rest of the Swarm Hosts are ready. And that means they're a little bit out of sync, and that's just a bit annoying. You've either got to wait for them to sync up or so you're going to lose a Locust Wave cooldown somewhere, or at least delay one, even if by a few seconds. It's just the sort of thing which, you know, has an effect. Good defenses so far, though, and defending the first round of Swarm Host Locusts with ease generally sets you up for success as a Protoss player, because now you haven't really found that initial damage, you haven't found the efficiency the Swarm Hosts are meant to bring you. And in a larger straight-up fight, you know, you've got one bursty window, you know, one window of burst damage, basically, with the Locust. And after that, you're fighting an Archon Immortal army with Roach Ravager. Well, we saw how well that went back on Jagannatha, as we do see Corrosive Bars already coming up into the sky. One sentry going down, all of the Locusts coming in. Creator's doing a great job of kiting away from this, making sure the Locusts don't get, you know, right on top of units. They've got to waddle forward themselves. Probes going down top left, though. That 4th base is being denied as this happens. Again, this is the part of the fight where Serral should start losing a little bit, because he doesn't have the Locust as part of the fight anymore. He doesn't know where to take the Ravagers to. He wanted to run south, and he was like, no, I'm already cornered in. 20 more Roaches in production. He's got a massive army supply lead, but a lot of it's in production. A lot of it's in Swarm Hosts, which are currently on cooldown. And at the moment, there's a shit ton of Immortals that are just chunking through everything, especially a lot of the Roach reinforcements. Serral will find one Immortal, though, a little bit astray from all the others. This is really nice. Getting his Roaches just on top of, not the whole army at once, but just a couple units here and a couple units there. That's when these Roaches will find good damage, and we should be ready to go with Locust again right now. There's nothing nearby to probably save all of these Immortals, I don't think. There's the Prison, but can that save all of them? I don't know. DTs just showed up. Do we have an Overseer nearby? I don't think so. He starts to morph one. DTs will start to do a lot of damage right now. 150 supply of Serral, still fighting 90 of Creator, but remember, again, the Swarm Hosts are back on cooldown. Creator somewhat all in with this because he doesn't have a 4th base anymore, but he has got Serral down in just 60 drones. Usually that's okay, though, because the Swarm Host player can, of course, play very efficiently with the Locusts, so you don't necessarily need as high of a work count as you might sometimes play with. Now the Nidus is up, and you can immediately start setting this up as a counter-attack set of Swarm Hosts as well. And this might be where Creator falls into a bit too much trouble, because Serral has been able to max back out, or at least very close to it. Creator's not been able to bounce back in supply in anywhere near the same kind of way. A close fight. I thought Serral was in some serious trouble, and I think he would have thought so too. Obviously, though, once he defended, he did do everything else in the setup for all of this to make it so that defending set him up in a brilliant position, because again, he denied that 4th base during this attack, and that especially was essential to making sure that Creator's follow-up was never going to be as strong as it needed to be. Extra Ravages morphing in, just going to be seeing the Immortal Stalker Archon continuing through, and just going to be seeing Corrosive Vials continue to drop. Serral is supply blocked. He's going to lose this bottom right side base. He's going to get knocked down to 3 bases himself. It's funny just how bad this army actually is, because it's just such low tech. As Creator recalls out of there, he's playing it correctly. Get a base, slow Serral down, force Serral to just be as, well, kind of committed as possible. And then go from there. Lucas back to the main. The Nidus ain't close though, right? Like, the Lucas are half HP when they get there. Gonna dive down and kill what exactly? A couple gateways. Gonna Nidus in the main base now. That could be a cool play, and especially if you don't do anything about it, then okay, well, Portal and an Archon coming over. That should be enough. Yeah, there's only Swarm Host, sorry, in that Nidus anyway, so just gonna get that denied. Serral, I mean, like I say, he'll struggle a bit because he lost the 3rd base. Getting his 4th base up and running now. Keeping Creator contained a little bit to the 3 bases still, though. So Creator is also on a timer where he only has so many resources he can use. Nice Stalkers there. They actually got rid of 2 of the Swarm Hosts, which is obviously a good play. Anytime you can get rid of Swarm Hosts, generally going to be good for you, as Swarm Host will just try and dive through sentries, gets 1 of the 3, the other kept alive by the super batteries. The Swarm Host Locust died off in numbers. It obviously became manageable for the super battery to keep those sentries alive. Bottom side, Immortal Archon gets a queen. A few roaches come down. The Immortal Archon has to lift back up. Adaptive Talon's going through on the Lurk, and then just going to be seeing the Zealot Immortal going to focus on the Nidus. So now the Zealot Immortal can fight the Locust, or the Swarm Host, sorry. Oh, they will get away into this Nidus in a moment or two, but Serral will lose out on quite a few of them, so numbers are definitely decreasing. This was what I thought was going to happen a long time ago, these Locusts killing this Robo facility. I think that actually is a big deal, because now you're going to take away Disruptor, and that's a lot of important tech, and so are those 2 Archons. Creator losing out on a couple of units to begin with here, as we're going to see Serral just about able to hold this choke point. And just up off to that left-hand side, we do have the Roaches still trying to fight here. Swarm was popping out. I mean, they'll just drop whatever Locust they can, just trying to help in any way. This might be the final fight, as Creator does not have a lot left, and he's kind of really committing to this one too. He's going to lose out on everything. Couple Lurkers up as well. Maybe he pressed the issue and made Creator feel as though he just had to pull the trigger and commit. That will be GG's, and that will be our Serral victory in this best of 3.